Every notification feels like proof of life. A digital heartbeat reminding us that someone, somewhere, still sees us. But even that heartbeat is artificial, controlled by a system that knows how to keep us craving more. The digital world thrives on contrast. It needs joy and pain, chaos and calm, tragedy and triumph. It amplifies both extremes until moderation becomes invisible. And between those extremes, humanity dissolves into data points, categorized, analyzed, and resold. We have mistaken exposure for intimacy and connection for understanding. The more we reveal, the less we actually know ourselves. Because when everything is shared, nothing feels sacred anymore. The quiet parts of the human soul, the ones that used to belong only to us, are now public property. And here lies the paradox. The more we try to be seen, the less real we become. The louder we scream our truths into the void, the more the void learns to mimic our voice. Until one day we no longer recognize who's speaking, us or the system. Maybe authenticity didn't collapse overnight. Maybe it's been eroding one post at a time, one performance at a time, one perfectly imperfect moment at a time. And maybe we've mistaken this slow erosion for evolution. Because in a world that measures worth in visibility, even the act of being human has to compete with the algorithm. Tension is the most valuable resource of the modern world. Invisible, intangible, and utterly addictive. Every platform, every brand, every influencer fights for a piece of it. But attention isn't just power. It's control. What was once currency is now a weapon. The moment you stop paying attention, someone else loses profit. So the system evolves, learning to feed on your instincts, the ones you don't even know you have. A flash of color, a sound bite, perfectly timed pause. You think you're scrolling freely, but your every movement has been predicted, rehearsed, optimized to keep you inside the loop. And the loop never ends. The modern battlefield isn't fought with weapons, it's fought with dopamine. Every like, every view, every notification is a microdose of pleasure designed to condition behavior. You are no longer choosing. You are responding. Responding to patterns, to stimuli, to invisible cues that whisper, "Stay a little longer." This is how attention becomes obedience. When your focus can be bought, your freedom can be sold. And the system doesn't need to silence you, it only needs to keep you entertained. The tragedy is that most won't notice the shift. They'll call it engagement. They'll call it connection. They'll praise the dopamine rush as motivation, not realizing it's the leash that keeps them running in circles. The corporations behind the screens don't just want your money. They want your time, your gaze, your emotions. They want your mind to flicker between hope and insecurity just enough to keep you scrolling, buying, consuming. Because attention, once captured, becomes behavior, and behavior becomes profit. In the age of digital gods, the algorithm is the new oracle. It knows when you wake, when you're sad, when you hesitate before clicking. It doesn't care about your beliefs, your dreams, or your morals, only your engagement pattern. And it will shape the world around you to make sure you stay inside its attention field. We used to think power was measured in wealth, in status, in control of nations. But now it's measured in views, impressions, and retention rates. A person who controls attention controls emotion. A brand that controls emotion controls desire. And a system that controls desire controls everything. Attention is no longer something we give. It's something that's taken, extracted, refined, and sold like oil. And just like oil, it fuels an empire built on dependency. The most dangerous prisons are the ones without walls. And the feed you scroll is one of them. Because every second you look away from your own life, someone else profits from the time you'll never get back. Control doesn't always look like control. It doesn't come with chains or commands. It comes wrapped in convenience, in comfort, in the illusion that you are choosing. Every design, every feature, every sound on your screen has a purpose. Nothing is accidental. The color of a button, the delay of a notification, the infinite scroll, each element is crafted not to serve you, but to study you, to anticipate your reaction before you even think. The architecture of control is elegant. It doesn't restrict, it guides. It doesn't force, it suggests. And in time, you start to confuse suggestion with desire. The interface becomes your mirror. You click because it feels right. You scroll because it feels natural. But the truth is, it's not nature, it's design. A human-made loop of stimuli and reward, precision engineered to shape behavior through pleasure and fear. This is the psychology of captivity. It doesn't need walls. It needs attention. And the more you participate, the tighter the invisible cage becomes. What you see on your screen is not the world. It's a reflection of your data. A custom-built reality where every headline, every ad, every recommendation has been filtered to match your psychological profile. It feels personal, feels intimate, but it's manipulation disguised as personalization. You're not navigating the internet. The internet is navigating you. Each choice you make reinforces the pattern. Each scroll confirms what kind of person you are, or at least what kind of person the system wants you to be. And little by little, freedom becomes simulation. Control no longer operates through restriction, but through abundance. Too much information, too many options, an overwhelming flood that paralyzes choice until you default to the path of least resistance, the one chosen for you. They don't need to censor your thoughts if they can drown them. They don't need to block your choices if they can flood you with meaningless ones. And as you drown in stimulation, you call it freedom. The architecture of control is built on one principle. Keep them comfortable enough to never question who built the system, and distracted enough to never realize they're inside it. The scariest part isn't that they're watching. It's that they no longer have to. You've already learned to monitor yourself, to self-censor, to self-brand, to self-perform. Control has become internalized. It's not imposed anymore. It's absorbed. And maybe that's the perfect design. A world where control doesn't feel like control. It feels like home. Freedom has always been the most powerful illusion. In the digital age, it's no longer a right. It's a product. Something you're told you have, so you never question who's selling it to you. You can post whatever you want. You can buy whatever you want. You can say whatever you want, as long as it fits inside the architecture of the system that allows it. And because the walls are invisible, you believe there are none. This is the new kind of freedom. A freedom so carefully managed that it feels infinite. You can scroll forever, choose endlessly, express infinitely. Yet every action brings you closer to the center of control. You are free to move anywhere inside the cage, as long as you don't notice the cage itself. The system doesn't need to forbid rebellion. It only needs to monetize it. Every act of resistance, every call for authenticity, every voice that claims to be against the system, becomes part of it, feeding the same algorithm it tries to escape. Even revolution has become marketable. The system learned to sell rebellion back to the rebels, to turn criticism into content, to turn truth into trend, to turn outrage into engagement. And so, the simulation of freedom continues, not through silence, but through noise. An endless stream of opinions, identities, and emotions, all colliding, all recorded, all feeding the same machine that watches in silence. The cruel brilliance of it all is that nobody forces you. You volunteer your data. You offer your time. You surrender your privacy willingly, because the reward feels like choice, and choice feels like control. But control, in the digital age, doesn't come from removing your options. It comes from giving you so many that you lose yourself inside them. And when you can no longer tell the difference between choice and conditioning, freedom becomes theater. A carefully scripted performance where every role has already been written, every outcome already calculated, every desire already monetized. And the actors, us, keep performing, believing it's improvisation. The simulation doesn't end when you disconnect. It follows you. It rewires how you see the world, how you interpret silence, how you understand yourself. It teaches you to crave constant confirmation, from screens, from strangers, from systems that never sleep. And the more you try to escape it, the deeper you go. Because the system doesn't need to trap you, it only needs to make you need it. Need the validation. Need the distraction. Need the illusion that you are free. This is the masterpiece of modern control. A world where people fight for freedom that was never taken, only redesigned. Freedom rebranded, repurposed, simulated. A freedom that feels real because the prison feels comfortable. And maybe that's the final victory of the digital age. Not the domination of humanity, but its quiet submission disguised as choice.